I love cooking for Cheyenne because Cheyenne loves my eggs and bacon. All right, Cheyenne, I'm gonna go start breakfast. I guess I'll just sit here. Okay. Food is more than just a pleasure. It's my reason for existing. What was that, like 15 eggs? Yeah. I can't wait for the first bite of something that will make me forget about all the misery of my life.
Don't be afraid of the cheese.
No, never. Food has caused all of the things I hate about my life, but it's the only thing I've ever had to help me feel good. And I don't know where to even begin to change that.
Okay, so now that's a snippet of my 600-pound life, one of their episodes. And looking at that, I'd just like to ask you a question. How many times have you seen a clip like that or someone of that size and wondered just why can't they just stop eating so much? Or why can't they just start moving more? And this is not just something that we think internally. This is also something that people really express so freely. And I'll read some comments that I saw on this post. Okay, now looking at the comments on the screen, you can see the first one is, how can you even afford to eat 15 eggs? And then the next person says, everyone is worried about the eggs. Is anyone listening to her words? And if you heard what she said that eating is the only thing that kind of makes sense to her. She looks forward to eating because when she's eating, she's happy. For her, it's not just about eating 15 eggs and adding that much cheese to her food. It was a lot of cheese. For her, it's not about the number of eggs or the cheese or how much butter she used to cook that food. For her, it's about what that food represents to her. And for her, that's joy. And we look at that comment is a bit of a joke. And Mr. Mark says she done scrambled the whole carton. And then Clark comes in with, the sink just looks old and stained, not really dirty. That actually has nothing to do with the food, but that's what he saw. I'm thinking it's a he. Okay, so we move on to Mackenzie, who says, I mean, those eggs do really look good though, which is true. They really do look good. The eggs do look good. The truth is that when we see someone who is obese or morbidly obese, we look at it as some kind of moral failing. Like it's a sign that they don't have any self-control, a sign that they don't really take good care of themselves. And as I will show in this video, there are many times that weight loss coaches will tell you that what you actually need is more discipline. What you actually need is more willpower if you want to get to your weight loss goals. Unfortunately, when we think of weight as something that we can control with willpower and discipline, we pave the way for people to feel guilty and ashamed when they are not able to reach their weight loss goals because they think of it as they have failed in terms of willpower. They have failed because they don't have enough discipline. They have failed because they are not able to do the right thing, which is supposed to come so naturally to them. But as we're about to explore on this video, our weight is not just as simple as calories in versus calories out. Yes, that is the scientific way of approaching weight loss. But when it comes down to it, people on shows like My 600-Pound Life, people who are not even on these shows, your average obese person is not just eating that much because they want to be immobile or even worse. Instead, the story about how much we weigh comes down to more than our food choices. It's much more complex than meets the eye. So let's get started on our myth for the day. Hey everyone, happy week. You know the drill around here. Whenever it's a Monday, whenever a new week comes around, it's time for us to debunk yet another weight loss myth. And for those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Daisy, aka D. I am a weight loss coach who helps women lose weight through simple and sustainable ways. And much of that revolves around breaking down the weight loss myths that we have come across and getting down to the truth. And today we are going to be tackling a very big weight loss myth that is out there, where people think that weight loss, when it comes to obesity, is about willpower and not biology. But as you will see in this video, it's actually much more complex than meets the eye. As usual, as I do in all my other videos, yes, we actually at video number 10, so that's really good. As I've done in all the other videos, we're going to break this down into 3 sections. The first section will be, why do we actually believe that obesity is about willpower? The second section will be about the science. What does science actually say when it comes to obesity, willpower, and weight loss? And the third one is, how can we actually lose weight? If you're obese, if you want to lose weight, how can you actually do it without relying on willpower alone? So without much further ado, let's get started. Okay, let's start with a question. Do people actually have the ability in them to actually will themselves to doing the right thing? Okay, the right thing. Do people have the ability to will themselves into healthy habits? So to get into what people actually think about this, I'm going to give you a take that I saw from a weight loss coach, and you'll see her perspective on this. So let's listen to this.
So if you boil weight loss down to its most essential skill, it's basically just not eating whatever you want whenever you want it. And yet, as a weight loss coach, I hear people all the time saying, I just can't stop myself from, eating these certain foods, as if they don't have that skill. And I would argue that we definitely all have that skill. Like, have you ever gone to a store where you just love everything there, and yet you don't get out your credit card and buy everything that you actually can afford? Or have you ever seen a really hot, tall guy and not walked up to him and smelled his neck just to see if he smells as good as he looks? I mean, at least you don't do it every time, right? And that's the same skill set you got to bring to your weight loss. Sure, sometimes you're going to eat that food. You might smell that neck. But if most of the time you aren't, you'll lose weight.
Okay. First, I would like to believe that people are not actually out there going after hot people and smelling their necks or any parts of their body, because that's really invasive. But now, getting back to her point about weight loss, she says it's as simple as not eating whatever you want whenever you want. And she likens it to going to a store where you cannot actually afford things there and you don't take out your credit card. But it's quite different, because when you go to a store, you're not actually going, you don't actually need the things in there. But when it comes to food, you actually need the food. So you have to eat. That's the thing when it comes to obesity and food addiction. You have to eat. If you're addicted to shopping, you can stop going to a store. You can stop going to your favorite store and you can do without it. But then when you're addicted to food, you actually have to eat food at some point. But that aside, we can see that what she really boils it down to is control what you eat. But is it really that simple? Let's look at why people think that it's actually as simple as eating less and moving more when it comes to obesity. First, we have to talk about the simplicity of the calories in versus calories out perspective. We have come to know that when it comes to weight loss, it's as simple as eating less than our body needs. That's why we go into calorie deficits, because we have our maintenance calories, we have our calorie deficit, and we have our surplus. So if you're eating at a deficit, then you will definitely lose weight, right? But it's really not that simple. Okay, yes, it's simple mathematics. If you're eating less than you need, then you'll end up losing weight. So it almost seems as simple as if you eat less and you move more, you lose weight. And that means that if you're gaining weight, you're failing to manage the simple requirements, which are eat less and move more. But while this equation might seem simple, it ignores that our bodies are not machines that run on simple inputs and outputs. Instead, there are many other biological processes that take place in the background, which can make managing these calories in versus calories out equation quite hard. I will talk more about these nuances in the next section, but I want you to keep that in mind. So let's move on to our second point. We moralize food and exercise, and to show you exactly how this comes into play, I'll show you another video from another weight loss coach.
The ability to transform your entire life literally comes down to one thing, and that's willpower. Whether you want to start your fitness journey and change your body, whether you want to get into your dream career, whether you want to make it big on TikTok, whatever it is, it literally all comes down to your willpower and your ability to stay consistent. So when you want to change your body, you've just got to eat consistently, go to the gym consistently. These things take so much willpower, but honestly, that's all it takes, is to keep you going and get you to that end result. And honestly, you can just apply that to anything that you want in life. It's just the ability for you to stay consistent and the willpower to do what it takes to get there. Once you realise that, it actually makes everything seem so much more simple. And honestly, that was one of the big turning points for me, was realising that all I had to do was actually follow the steps and stay consistent.
Okay, take a sip for every time she says willpower. Okay, jokes aside. She says that all we need is willpower for us to achieve our goals, whether that's with exercise, whether that's because we want to get to a certain weight goal, whether that's because we want to attain something in our careers. It comes down to willpower. And when you look at weight loss through those moral lenses, then it's almost like if you're not able to achieve your goals, then you lack in willpower. And this doesn't just show up in such videos. The truth is that we tend to assign moral values to both foods and exercise. Take the example of food. For many years, we have come to think of foods as bad and good. The person eating a salad is seen as disciplined, while the person eating 2 slices of cake at a party is seen as greedy. People will even say, I am being so bad, when they indulge in a sweet treat. But this morality is not just for food. The same goes for exercise. The person who goes hard in the gym is seen as the disciplined one, while the person who takes breaks or does not hit the gym at all is seen as lazy. And when we look at food and exercise this way, then we look at the obese people, then it's almost like they're lacking, they're indisciplined, because all they have to do is eat less and move more. And if they're not doing that, and we've already assigned these moral values to these activities, then they are failing in terms of what society considers to be good. The third point is that visible behavior is very easy to judge. We have always been told, do not judge a book by its cover. But let's be honest. When it comes to obesity, we only have the external factors to go on. And to show you how this works, I'll show you a video.
Breakfast for a 600-pound woman is never simple. The first thing she does after waking up is open the fridge and pull out a container of vegetable soup. She heats it in the microwave and sits in front of the mirror. Spoon after spoon, she empties the container until not a single drop of broth remains. But that's only the warm-up. She lies down on her bed for a moment, not to rest, but to wait. She waits until everyone in the house is left, because only then can she bring out her true main course, a massive tray of lasagna, piled high with layers of pasta, meat, and melted cheese. The tray is so heavy she struggles to carry it, yet she insists on placing it in front of the mirror. She admits she likes to watch herself eat, because in the mirror she can confirm that nothing is left behind. Bite after bite, the lasagna disappears, just like the soup before it. And still, breakfast is far from over. When her family returns, the table fills again fried chicken, sugary pastries, and crispy French fries. One by one, they vanish in front of her eyes. This isn't a scripted scene from a movie. This is Melissa's everyday life, a routine of endless eating, a cycle that consumes her whole existence.
That's a really, really sad video actually when you look at it, and even I think the background music makes it even sadder. So I'm going to look at the comments here when it comes to Melissa's breakfast. Her name is Melissa. So the first one says, what people fail to realize is that food addiction is on the same level as drug abuse. And I would argue it's even a bit worse because, like I said, when it comes to things like drugs and clothes and any other kind of addiction, it's much easier to even go cold turkey because you don't actually need these things to continue with your life. I'm talking about like recreational drugs, because I know that people who are addicted to painkillers might have underlying conditions that require them to be on pain meds, but like without all those nuances, we can say that people need food to live. Usually we all actually do need food to live, so it's actually very hard to be addicted to something that you actually need, because it's not like you can stop eating it. Yes. And then the person whose name is B is, why does the family keep feeding? I think he meant to say her. And then the third one from Daza is, using a mirror to confirm the food is gone is crazy commitment. And then the fourth one, which I've noticed is a common theme when it comes to 600-pound life videos, is that people are always concerned about the cost. Because Desi says, how do these people fund all this food? And then Adam says, how does she afford this? Food is expensive. And okay, out of all these comments, number one is the one from Danny France, is the one that actually addresses the real issue, which is food addiction. But now, moving on from these, when it comes to judging visible behavior, we can see what people are eating. We can see if they are being active, but we cannot see the complexity of their biological processes. Because even in that video, yes, we saw Melissa eating all of this food. We saw her taking out one tray after the other. We saw her eating lasagna. We saw her eating the sweet treats. We can only see that, but we don't really understand why she's eating that much. We can only judge what we're seeing. And as I've said, we cannot see things like genetics. We cannot see chronic stress. We cannot see grief, hormonal signals, and other factors that affect whether people can eat less and move more. So we base our judgments on what we can see. And we do this because it's much easier than peeling back the layers and getting to the root cause of why someone is eating this much food or not moving much or making other decisions that are not good for their health. And then the final one is that when we think that obesity is all about willpower, then we get this sense of control and hope. While there are people out there who are okay with being victims of their circumstances, they're always complaining about what's happening to them. Life is always happening to them. Many people don't want to be victims. They don't want to be sitting ducks. They want to have control in their lives. And because people do not want to feel helpless about their lives, they want to believe that they have complete control over their lives. And for this reason, they believe that if they just control what they eat and how they move, then they can lose the extra weight. All they have to do is try harder. And anyone who is not losing weight is not trying hard enough. They're not eating less, they're not moving more, they're not doing what it takes to take control of their lives. Okay, we've covered why we think that obesity is about willpower, but does science actually support what we think? And as you might have already guessed, the answer is no, but let's just break down the nuances as to why science is not on willpower's side. Willpower is there, science is there. As I have covered in previous videos, weight loss myths do not exist in a vacuum. These are beliefs that have been passed down to us because they feel so rational, and we've accepted them because they sound so rational. After all, because science has already shown that if we want to lose weight, then we need to be in a calorie deficit, then the idea that all we need to do is move more and eat less sounds rational. It's something that's been proven, it's something that we can actually do, right? But this simplicity fails when it comes to obesity, because with obesity, we are not dealing with a willpower issue, we're actually dealing with a complex disease. And I think for a long time, people thought that obesity was about willpower, and it's only recently that they've come to realize that obesity is actually a chronic disease that people live with. It's not a matter of self-control, and instead it comes down to very important factors, as I will explain. And the first of these factors is the role of homeostasis in our bodies. And before I get into this, I know that I'm veering towards the side of fat acceptance and health at every size with this video, and I want to make it clear, I don't think that being obese is healthy. I think it's unhealthy. I think that carrying an excess amount of weight, yes, being overweight, being obese is unhealthy for you. But bear with me here. For us to understand why people are obese or overweight, for us to even have a role in helping them work towards getting to a normal weight, we have to actually understand how they got there. And that's what this video is aiming to do. So when it comes to homeostasis, this is what we need to understand. And I know the set point theory is a really touchy topic when it comes to fat acceptance, because they believe that their bodies were meant to be that way. Not really, but they do have a bit of truth in there. The truth is that they are right that your body tries to maintain a certain stable weight, and that's known as a set point. That's something that your body does through a process called homeostasis. So if you start losing weight, your body just tries to bring you up to this set point. That is when you'll find that your hunger hormones have risen while your fullness levels have reduced. You just start feeling hungrier and crankier. And the effects are more severe when you're in a severe calorie deficit. I mean, the worse it is, like the harder your calorie deficit, or should I say, the lower you go with your calories, then the more cranky you feel, the more hungry you feel. While many people are able to stick to the calorie deficit, even with this hunger, even with these psychological effects, it's not always easy for others. After all, you're just fighting your body's natural biology every second of the day. And some people eventually give in to what their body wants. I mean, if you're feeling hungrier, you're not feeling full, then, and you're not used to it, because let's be honest, for many people going on a weight loss journey, they're just used to eating when they're hungry, and even when they're not hungry. So if you put them in a situation where they're feeling hungry, they don't like it. It's uncomfortable. I've been on a calorie deficit, and I'll say I'm very happy that I'm done with that bulking and cutting phase, because the cutting phase is not fun. The bulking phase is not fun either, because you just eat until you're at a point where you're like, I'm tired of eating. But that's nice, because if you're tired of eating, you can just really fill up on calories by eating like avocados and things like those. But if you're dealing with a deficit and you're hungry, that's really uncomfortable. So for many people, when their hunger gets to a point where they're uncomfortable, they just give up. And that's much easier if you're used to just eating what you want, or you're in a really bad deficit. The people who go on 1200 calorie diets when 1200 is not really right for them, and maybe they should be eating 2000 calories. So if you're 1200, you'll be frustrated, it's horrible, so you'll just give up. But that's where homeostasis comes into this picture. Secondly, we have to talk about genetic predisposition. So am I saying that some people were born to be fat? No. I know that there are many people in health at every size and fat acceptance who say that they were naturally born that way. No, that's not the case. Okay, now with that out of the way, we can say that studies have, however, shown that some people are more genetically predisposed to obesity compared to others. After all, we do get these genes passed down to us. So without getting into the world of epigenetics, let's just deal with genetics as they are. Our genes affect how we store fat, how well we burn energy, and how we process hunger and fullness signals, and so on. As such, people with a higher predisposition to obesity find it much harder to lose weight compared to someone who has a lower predisposition. It's not impossible, but it makes it harder for them. But while we're on this topic of genetics, I want to get into this whole nature versus nurture argument. Okay, we're saying naturally some people are predisposed to obesity. Yes, because of their genes. They've been passed down from their parents, their grandparents, that whole lineage. But then we also have to talk about nurture, because your environment plays a really big role in how you approach food and exercise. And the truth is that in the same way that some people have been predisposed to obesity through their genes, others are predisposed to obesity because of their home environments. They grew up in homes where exercise was not really a thing. They grew up in homes where they were fed junk foods. Just the other day, I saw a woman buying 32 pizzas for her teenage son, or maybe he was not even a teen, he was just her son, and she bought him the 2 pizzas, and that's supposed to last him, I think, 2 weeks. So some people grow up in homes where they're not really fed healthy food, they're not really taught like how to have a good relationship with exercise. And when you grow up in such a home, it's going to be very hard for you to have a healthy relationship with exercise and food, because you did not actually have one when you were in those foundational years. And does that mean that it's going to be impossible for you to lose weight? No. In the same way that someone who is genetically predisposed to obesity can lose weight, someone who does not have the best relationship with food and exercise can also lose weight by just changing the environment. Both of these people have the chance to lose weight. No one is like meant to be fat. No one is meant to be obese. Some people are just more predisposed to obesity, but that doesn't mean that that's what's supposed to happen. And because of this whole nature thing, that's why you'll find someone saying that I come from a home where everyone is fat. Everyone was fat. My grandmother was fat. My parents were fat. My siblings are fat. But it's not the genes. It's what you guys are eating. And then, yeah, it's what you're eating. It's how you're moving. So if you look at your behaviors, you'll find that, yeah, your habits are kind of the same. It's not because of the blood that's in you. It's because of your environment. That we have to talk about the brain and its reward systems. Yes, let's talk about dopamine and its effect on us when it comes to food. And for this one, I'll show you a very actually sad video. It's a bit sad. It is a bit sad. So let's watch this video together.
I'm always ready to eat. I just feel like the food has to be eaten. Food could be here and I tell myself, stop, just put it down. 10 minutes later, for some reason, I'm back at it again. Something in my head is telling me I have to eat the food. Food just takes away the pain. It takes away all the guilt. It takes away all the issues. Everything just goes away whenever I have that first bite. It just takes me to another place. You know, the food, it just blocks the world around you. And then you feel comfortable. You feel like nobody could see you. It gives me everything I want. But there's nothing worse than coming to an end of a meal. So when breakfast is over, then I'm already thinking about lunch. I do get full, but it's temporary.
Okay, you can see why I said that was a sad video, because you can see that he has this reliance on food because it's the thing that makes him feel comfortable, the thing that makes him feel safe from the world. So that's a very difficult relationship to have with food, because you're relying on it for more than sustenance. It's not just a way for you to get energy. And then we look at the comments in this case. Like, let's see, Dan says, we all got our own poisons, don't judge. We're all messed up in a way, just some people are better at hiding their messed up worlds better than others, which is true, because if your addiction is food, it's very hard to hide that, because like I said, we can see your behaviors through what we can see. Like it's hard to hide that you eat more than you need, because your body will show. But someone else can have a shopping addiction and you can't really know unless you have access to their bank accounts. Or someone can have alcoholism and you won't really know unless you get to know them. I mean, or you see them when they're in a drunken stupor. Yeah, so unless you're seeing them engaging in these behaviors, you can't really tell. Like even with drug addiction, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, but yes, with these things, you cannot really see them. You cannot really see the behaviors. You cannot see the effects of the behaviors really. Unlike with food, food is just there. That's why it's so easy for us to judge obese people, because we can actually see what the food is doing to them. And then we have Desto. Desto says, man, I feel that, man, we're all trying to get better from something, which is true. And then Elvin says the camera angles are a violation. I did notice when the cameraman went just like below and then he's just filming him from the bottom, which is, yes, that's a violation. And then IJT, TikTok usernames, says that bro said it takes him to another place. Yes, it makes him feel comfortable. It makes him feel like he can be safe, which is, yes, like I said, it's a very sad video because that's very emotionally vulnerable, and he's relying on food to give him something that he's not able to get from other areas of his life. Okay, so sadness aside, let's move on with the video. The truth is that we live in a world where junk foods are not only cheap, but they are also very tasty. People love fried foods, they love sugary foods, and their likes, because these activate the dopamine centers in their brains. The more they eat these highly processed foods, the happier they feel, and this creates quite an addictive cycle. People come to rely on these foods to help them feel better when they're low. If they are sad, they eat. If they are bored, they eat. If they are angry, they eat. And when we look at food as something that's this tied to our emotional well-being. It's a coping mechanism, it's an addiction, and then that makes it's very hard to use willpower. Like, people don't go to rehab centers and then they're told that, okay, if you want to get rid of, you want to get over your drug addiction, then you just have to believe it. You just have to will your way through this. It doesn't work like that. If you're addicted to alcohol, you're not told, use willpower and you will get over it. Or if you're addicted to shopping, you're told, like, yeah, just use willpower. The next time you hear about Black Friday, just use your willpower and you'll be okay. So yes, it's not easy to just use willpower to get over the fact that you're addicted to food. There's more to it. So willpower in this case has to take a backseat. And then number 4, which is also another emotional side of this, is that we have to talk about the mental side of things when it comes to obesity. If you watch those, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional. Okay, if you watch those stories on my 600-pound life, you'll realize that there's actually always more going on beneath the surface. It's not usually like they're just eating and then they're not moving. It's not that they don't see what's happening to them. They see what the food is doing to them. They see that they are bedridden. They see that they're not able to leave the house. They're not able to even walk around the supermarket like other people. And they know that the food is causing these issues. It's not that they don't see it. So at some point, people just wonder, why don't these people just do what they're supposed to do, the right thing? But there's a lot more going on beneath the surface. And for this, I'm going to use a video of yet another 600-pound life cast member. Is it a cast member? If the whole episode is about you, are you a cast member? I don't know. We're going to watch another snippet of another my 600-pound life video. Yes, episode.
He's very good at making meals that taste good, but getting more worried about him. So I do want him to eat better, but the dynamic right now is that he makes whatever he wants, and that's what we eat.
Me and Irma also live with my grandmother and my mom, so I also cook for them at times too. But I mostly cook for Irma because we're always together. I wait until around 12 o'clock to eat lunch, and then I'll snack until dinner. But I feel the best meal of each day is usually the first. Once I have that ready, I have a lot of excitement about it because it's something that brings me great pleasure and happiness. Eating is a big joy to me in my life because it's a time where nothing bad can touch me. Eating makes me feel better. So there's no moment in my day when I'm not wanting that. And eating is an activity I do most of the day now. So food has a central point in my life, and it's what I follow. And I know it's what led me to the size that I am now. That was good.
Okay, so in his case, he says that eating makes him feel better. So let's see some of the comments on these. Okay, we have the first one, which is, typically what you'll expect from someone who believes that obesity is about willpower. Mr. Oregon, 1974, maybe that's when he was born. Okay, after living in a third world communist country, I have zero sympathy. It's pure laziness turned into a disease. He does not really believe that obesity is a disease because he even uses the quotation marks. Okay, I think I've already covered what I think about that. So let's go to my Jani Shamar, who says, I used to be 500 pounds. I am now 300 pounds, no surgery. I still struggle with food addiction. It's very hard. It's like a drug. Stop judging people. Absolutely, because it really is a drug. If you think about it, if you think about the way that food has an effect on your dopamine system, because when you look at addiction, there's this whole process. There's the cue, then there's the behavior, and then there's the reward. So maybe the cue will be like you come across food, you're passing by a McDonald's, that's the cue. The behavior will be going in and getting your favorite junk food, whatever that is, and then the reward will be the effect on your dopamine centers, because you'll feel happy when you're eating the food. Like he says, eating makes him feel better. It's the only time he feels that nothing can touch him. So when you're in that situation, that's like those are the exact elements you need to get into addiction, because you need the cue, you need the behavior, you need the reward. For him, he starts with breakfast, which is the most important meal of his day, because he says once he's got that going, then everything else just falls into place. So that's his cue. And then his behavior is that big load of pancakes and bacon. Actually, that food looks good, but it was a lot. But it does look good. You saw even his wife, I think it's his wife or his fiance or girlfriend, also enjoying the food with the maple syrup and everything. So That's the behavior, and then the reward is that he feels untouchable. And when you feel that good, you want to repeat it again and again and again and again and again and again, and those are just the hallmarks of addiction. Then yes, so it's like a drug. It's not a drug, but it's like a drug. And yes, we should stop judging people. And then Mike Jr. asks, is he still alive? I hope he is. I don't know, because with cast members, I'm going to keep calling them cast members of my 600-pound life, sometimes some people do end up losing weight and they end up living healthy lives, but it's not always the case for everyone. And unfortunately, some of them do pass away because of the complications that come with being that size. And then we have Mr. or Miss, oh, this is a Mrs. They have small exercise bikes you can do sitting on the sofa, get him moving. Okay, at least she didn't say that, you know, he's lazy or anything. She's just coming up with maybe a solution. But like I said in my previous videos, when it comes to, okay, not my previous videos, my previous video, myth number 9, where we talked about the fact that you can eat anything as long as you exercise, we saw that that's not really true. And when it comes down to it, what you really want to do is focus on what you're eating, because as much as you're exercising, you can't really earn those crumble cookies or McDonald's or anything that you like out there that's very high in calories. You have to actually look at what you're eating more than how you're moving. Moving is good for you to build and, you know, to build that muscle, but what really matters when it comes to weight loss is your diet, you know, 80-20. And then Nisi Collins says, this is so sad, but those pancakes looked amazing, which is true. It's very sad, but he does know how to cook. That food really looks good. Now, that said, when we're talking about the mental side of things, the people on these shows, and even obese people in general, they're not just eating food because they enjoy it. They're not just addicted to it for the fun of it. Instead, many of them use food to cope with emotional trauma. It could be that they're dealing with grief, or maybe they had a sad childhood. Whatever these reasons, these people turn to food as an escape. And to show just how complex our relationships can be with food, I'll show you another video, which is also a bit sad. Okay, yeah, it's also a bit sad, just like the one we watched, but we are educating ourselves. So we'll keep the tears locked for now.
There isn't a moment where I'm not craving something to eat. No matter what I'm facing, food will make it better. Food is my relief and my comfort, and it's what I constantly want.
Food is the only thing in the world that doesn't talk back unless it gives you acid reflux.
It's just gonna make you feel better. And when I'm eating, it's euphoric. It's like this feeling of relief from whatever negative emotion I have going on at that time. And so even though a meal like this will make me really full, I'll keep eating and eating. Because that craving never goes away. And it's always been there for me.
Okay, another very sad video. Okay, let's look at the comments. The first one says, unless it gives you acid reflux. Acid reflux, it's supposed to be acid reflux. I know this because I do have gastroesophageal reflux disease, and yes, I am not obese, but I have this. Actually, I got it when I was overweight, and now it's managed. I don't even think I've had any episode for a long time, but that's one of the complications you get when you're overweight. And I guess it could be even worse if you're obese, because all that pressure on your stomach makes it worse. If you lose weight when you have acid reflux, then your episodes reduce, or even they just go away. Because now that I'm at a normal weight, I haven't really had any recurrent episodes. So yes, that's something to keep in mind. But this is a direct quote from him, because he said that food doesn't talk back unless it gives you acid reflux. Then user 46 billion or something says, can you imagine how difficult a food addiction would be? We have to eat to survive, being forced to ingest the very substance you're addicted to. Yes, that's true. I mentioned this before because I'd say that with shopping and with recreational drugs, you don't actually have to take them. You can actually go cold turkey. But when it comes to food, you have to eat, you have to fuel your body, and you're fueling it with the same thing that you're addicted to. It's like if you're addicted to alcohol and you need and alcohol was water. So you had to drink it so that you can be hydrated, and somehow you're supposed to find a way to stop yourself after you've had enough. But what is enough? And we have Julian and John. I'm sorry, brother, but I understand. That's really nice. And then we have Brandon Jack, who says, where do these people get their money to support a diet like this? Damn. I mean, my dad is healthy and my wife and I both work. What kind of money is he? Okay. Like I said, people are really shocked by how much these people are able to put away, because food is expensive. I think that's the case in every country, because yes, I think that's the case in every country. So Yeah, I do understand the financial aspect, but yeah. And then Space Movie 1992 also feels that, I don't understand how they can afford this habit. Again, it's about the finances. And okay, it's a lot of food, but I don't know. I actually don't know how they afford it. But away from the finances, when it comes down to it, we cannot really talk about obesity without talking about the complexities of the emotions that go with it. We cannot talk about it without thinking about the biology behind that when we talk about homeostasis, or when you talk about your hunger signals, or when you talk about your genes or the environment you are brought up in, or the relationship you have with food because of how it makes you feel. These are all things that we need to consider when you're talking about obesity. So is it really about willpower? And can we really just say that it's willpower without putting all of these other things, like without considering these other things? No, because obesity, like I said, is a very, very complex chronic disease. But like I said, no one was meant to be obese. So what can we actually do about it? Let's get into that. Understanding that obesity is a complex biological issue is the first step in dealing with it. This knowledge helps us look at obese people and overweight people and everyone else in that category with compassion. We're not looking at them as people who have failed morally. We're not looking at them as people who have just made bad decisions. We're looking at them as people who have been affected by a wide variety of factors that have made it harder for them to lose weight and get to a healthy weight. So if willpower is not the solution, then what is? I'm going to let you in on some strategies that I do use with my Better in 90 clients. And these are strategies that have been proven to help people lose weight and keep it off without veering into the severe calorie deficit, because I say those ones are definitely going to push you back to eating the way you usually do. These are simple strategies that you can easily integrate into your life, which will help you lose weight in the long term and also keep it off. So what exactly do you need to do? The first one is you need to focus on the environment and not the effort. Like I said earlier, our environments have a very, very big role in how we approach food and exercise. The easiest way for us to make a healthy choice is to make it the easiest choice. And think about it like this. If you have to choose between cookies and a healthy salad, what will you choose? You will likely pick the cookies. Relying on willpower alone is not enough to help you kick unhealthy habits. Instead, you need to create an environment that supports your goals. Remove the food temptations from your house, delete the food delivery apps, create a schedule that includes time to be active, prepare your gym clothes the day before. Do all of these things, because the easier it is for you to engage in healthy habits, the more you will do them. And the interesting thing is that the converse is also true. Think about the unhealthy habits that you engage in, think about what will serve as a barrier to them, and then maybe put those barriers in place. Because like if the easiest thing for you is usually to order food, then you delete the food delivery app, then the easier thing will be for you to cook, because it won't be as easy to order the food online. The next thing is to prioritize satiety over restriction. And I mentioned earlier that many people will just decide to let go of calorie deficit. They'll get out of the calorie deficits because they're feeling hungry and cranky. And the reason that this happens is that because people make bad food choices, poor food choices. Yes, I'm moralizing food, good and bad, but the truth is that when it comes to satiety, there are good and bad foods. And like I said in my previous video, that was my video number 1, all calories are not equal. And if you're eating foods that are poor quality, then you will feel hungry. So how can you avoid this? By working with your hunger hormones instead of working against them. Well, instead of eating less food, focus on eating food that makes you feel full. Great options include foods that are rich in fiber and protein for each meal. The more satisfied you are, the less driven you will feel to overeat or stop following a calorie deficit. So I talked about this more in my all calories are not equal video. That's myth number 1. So if you want more on this, you can refer to that video. And number 3, we have to address the root causes of obesity. That's we're talking about your biological and mental triggers. The root cause of obesity comes down to the triggers. And beyond eating less and moving more, you have to look into what else is causing you to overeat. Are you stressed? Are you not sleeping enough? Are you bored? These are factors that tie into your overall well-being that will affect how easy it is for you to be in a calorie deficit. And the truth is that if you find yourself struggling, the best thing for you is to talk to a licensed therapist. You might need to go down this really, really long but very important road where you figure out why it is exactly that you need food to feel better. Why do you need food to feel safe from the world? Why do you need food? Because it's the only thing that doesn't talk back to you. The therapist is not going to be there to judge you for your reasons. They're not going to judge you because you enjoy food more than the usual person. They're there to help you. So in that case, it's very important for you to think about why you're eating this way. If you're not able to dive into it and figure out the root cause by yourself, then it's always okay to look for help, because the alternative is to keep doing the same thing that you're doing over and over. And as we have seen, that does not always have good consequences. And unfortunately, some people do pass away before they've had time to work on their root causes. So if you have the chance to work on what's making you rely on food, then I would encourage you to take it. So there you have it. Obesity is not about having zero willpower. Instead, it is a disease brought about by complex factors. Knowing this, the best approach to obesity is to approach it like a disease. In the same way that we'll address any other disease, it's up to us to get down to the root causes. It's not about moralizing food. It's not about moralizing exercise. It's not about ignoring the obvious health risks that come with being obese. It is about coming up with simple and sustainable strategies that we can use to not only lose the weight, but also keep it off in the long term. If you are ready to stop relying on willpower alone, I invite you to check out my Better in 90 program. This program has been designed to help you improve your relationship with food and exercise and find simple and sustainable lifestyle changes that honor your individual needs. If you'd like to find out more about the program and work with me, you can find out more in the link below. If you found this video helpful, I invite you to hit that like button. And if you're new to this channel, I invite you to subscribe and hit that notification button so that you never miss out on any other wellness myth video. I upload a new one every week, and next week we'll be covering an even more exciting one. Yes, I know today's video has been very emotional because obesity is such an emotional topic, because it's not as simple as it looks on the surface, but I promise not all my videos are this heavy, and next week we'll be covering something that's much lighter, and I would like it if you joined us and you did not miss out on it. Until next time, take care, and remember, if you're dealing with obesity or if you're overweight, I want you to remember that this is not a sign of a moral failing. Your struggle is real, but it's also a sign that you need a better strategy, because what you have right now is not working. You can use any of the 3 strategies that I've already shared in this video, and if you'd like to work one-on-one with someone who's going to be there to guide you and encourage you, you can always check out Better in 90. And until next time, bye-bye. Thank you for joining me for yet another Myth Busting Monday. Bye-bye.